Welcome to the Innate series, the ultimate resource for chiropractors looking to grow, thrive, and align their practice with purpose. On today's testimonial episode, Dr. Caleb Christensen opens up about the power of mentorship and the importance of having a growth mindset within his practice. Let's get started.
Well, the first question right out of the gate, and I know the answer to this, but I think it's important for other people to know the answer to this. You've been in AMC a while. We'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Was last year better than the year before?
It was.
Okay. Was last year better than 5 years before?
It was.
Better than 10 years before?
It was.
Okay, that's a good thing.
That's all we need to know.
We're having growth. We're changing. You just wrapped up a really strong January, too,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You collected $10,000 more in January of 25 than you did January previous.
Yes, sir.
So why are you still growing? What's going on with you, your office? How are you looking to continue to grow?
I think it goes back to the idea and the mentality of a growth mindset, right? Green and growing, ripe and rotting, right? That I think being part of AMC, and as they say, a family, that when you are around not only your coach who coaches you and challenges you, because of all the people you coach, you know your concept is bigger. Hey, what can be accomplished? You and I've talked several times about, okay, what is it that I want to become? What is it I want to grow into? And that may look different for other people, but if that's the case, hey, you definitely have the ability to encourage, challenge, knowing other people have been able to achieve those same things you're wanting to accomplish. And then ultimately coming to these summits and seeing different people and different family who have done those same things gives you a lot of hope and encouragement that it can be done. Doesn't mean it's not a lot of hard work.
Sure.
Doesn't mean there's not sacrifice, not challenges and bumps along the way, right? But I think the element of just the idea of continued growth and wanting to continue to be, you could say better, but better in more aspects than just numbers, but better, whether it is in my chiropractic profession, education of my patients, father, husband, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, because the skill sets aren't just to the chiropractic office or chiropractic patients. They bubble over into
Life
other areas.
principles, yeah.
You mentioned challenging you, and hopefully that's challenging you in a positive way. Do you have an example of how you've been challenged maybe more recently or most recently? Is there something that comes to your mind?
Yeah, I think that when I've done it for as long as I have, there's you tend to, I think, forget more than you learn new stuff. Does that make sense? Like we just had the conversation about discharges, right? This past phone call conversation. It's not something I've when you were asking me about certain things, there's things that I've forgotten about that AMC had taught about certain things, and more than it was on the forefront of my mind. That wasn't a new thing, but it was something I had kind of forgotten about. So I think the idea of, not that you want to tear somebody down, but the idea of pride and, hey, I've made it. Yeah. The element of, hey, this could be better, or here is a weakness or an area of growth that I see you could grow into. That, hey, you're doing well in these areas, but here's an area you could continue. So the last conversation you and I had, there's definitely times where you have to swallow, as you just said. Nobody wants to talk about discharges. Nobody wants to talk about the, oh my gosh, the stuff that maybe isn't going well.
Right.
And I'm jokingly saying this, you do a good job of not talking about the things that go as well, because there's an element of, we know those things are going well, but what about the stuff that you can challenge yourself to improve upon? And so I would say that's one way specifically, you being my coach, or I would think any coach at AMC is going to try and help. I guess you're my mentor, my mentoree, achieve things that, hey, that are beyond maybe what they think are possible, or in my case, didn't even realize maybe this was having an impact, and I wouldn't have known that unless there was something you would have brought up or challenged me on.
Well, I appreciate that feedback, and from my seat at the table, we have to talk about the not so fun stuff. I mean, we also have those conversations where you've done a lot of really great things, and here's a praise call, and let's just pat you on the back and that kind of stuff. But whenever we talk about the tough stuff, we don't want to talk about it in a tough way. We try to talk about it in a way, at least that's my hope, is we're talking about this in a way that's constructive, building, and here's the issue, but here's how we get beyond this issue, and here's why the benefit, or what's the benefit. So are we able to do that satisfactorily for you? Or can we talk about tough things, but not do it in a tough way?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
good. Very
Yep.
good. So where did you start? Take us all the way back to your starting point with AMC. What year was that? What brought you to us?
Graduated 2007 from Parker University. And my wife was finishing up her master's in Dallas. And so we both were from Lubbock, Texas, and felt like that's where we were going to eventually move back.
Sure.
So I went in with another doctor there, not an AMC doc, but just became an independent contractor there. And did that, I believe, you'd have to refresh my memory. I thought I joined AMC in 2008 or 2009. So I did that for a year and a half, 2 years maybe. And did the doctor at that time did insurance. I'm just brand new, so I thought, I'll just try it. I didn't know a whole lot. And I think what I tell people, like when people ask me, okay, what does AMC do? Like, what are they helping me as a chiropractor, as a doctor do? Coming out of school, I knew the subluxation. I knew how to diagnose and try and help a patient. But I didn't know how to educate and empower that patient to choose a life of health and wellness through chiropractic care,
right.
Or how chiropractic care could help them achieve their lifelong goals and their quality of life down the road. That wasn't something I tell patients and other people that ask that with chiropractic care, not everybody knows exactly what a chiropractic does, and so when patients come in, there's a lot of education that has to take place over a period of time, and I just didn't know how to do that. And even how to educate the patient the best, how to coach your staff to do that, and therefore, in parts of that, also how to have a successful practice that is helping more and more people. And that was something I felt very, very lost in. I didn't know, coming out of school,
right.
We had 2 business classes, maybe, But like most things in life, you don't really get to apply it until you actually start doing it. You can have all the classes that you want, but until you actually start applying it, you don't realize how hard it can be. And so I think that's where AMC really came in and helped me in that regard. I didn't know how to bridge that gap for my patients to help allow them to understand their problem, but more importantly, that there was hope that I could help them.
Sure.
And what I could help them, save them from, and ultimately what their future might look like if they decided, hey, this is where I understand the need for chiropractic care and what the health of my spine, nervous system, et cetera, and how that could benefit me.
I'm sure you think about what would be different had you not done that in 2008, 2009. In your imagination, what do you think coming to AMC in that moment, what do you think that saved you from over those next few years, couple of decades that we're getting close to? What do you think?
I think it saved me from choosing another profession.
Really?
I think because when we moved back to Lubbock, and I opened the practice, and this is with AMC.
Sure.
But there were days where it was having the idea of hope and encouragement that, hey, keep pushing, because not every day, because when you have days, you're like, man, 5 patients was a busy day.
Sure.
It's like,
sure,
man, and you had the loans and you had your student loans, and you're like trying to, meet ends, and if I didn't have a mentor, if I didn't have summit or boot camps, if I didn't have the resources on the AMC website and the videos encouraging me, helping me, challenging me, that I would have probably felt very alone in that. And I don't know that I would have, that would have been my fear. I remember when I opened my practice, it comes right, there's a stoplight, you can look and you can see my sign across the top of the building. And I thought, when I first opened, I wonder if in 5 years that's still going to be there, just because there's a lot of scariness that went into that. And so having AMC there with me the whole time, as we talked about challenges, we all will face them at some point, and we'll face them more in the future. So having hope and encouragement and somebody to walk me through, who has been there and done that themselves, or is coaching people who've done that, whatever the case may be, was huge. So I don't know that I would necessarily be sitting here if AMC hadn't been a part.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that part. So That's pretty touching. Nobody who's listening to this knows your overhead or whatever, and you don't have to talk about numbers if you don't want to, but gross revenue per month, I think you're consistently in that 40 range, plus or minus, right? But I know that you're not done yet. Where do you hope to be? Because we've talked about legacy, we've talked about what you're building and what you leave behind, either for another chiropractor to take over or for the children or whatever. So you're doing well now. We're continuing to grow. Where do you see that you're headed?
Yeah, I think that's that next step of looking at what does the next 10 to 15 years look like. We're celebrating 16 years of this practice this year. We're going to get to celebrate, so we're excited about that. But I think, the next stage is, okay, what does that, as you mentioned the right term, what does that legacy look like moving forward? And I think being able to, whether that's, I could go a lot of different avenues from that standpoint, but I think I just haven't reached that point that people can say, they're a waiting list practice, right? And that's nice to say, but if you're able to do that, that means you are helping as many people as you possibly can.
Sure.
Is essentially what I interpret that to be. And so I think, that's where that next step would be, is that I don't want to ever reach burnout. I don't want to ever reach a point of, I can't, I'm so worn out.
Right.
So, but can I get to the point where I am doing and seeing as many patients as I possibly can and helping that many more people? And therefore, if that means, associateships down the road, and being able to pass a legacy on there, whether that's one of my kiddos, nieces, or nephews coming in eventually, taking over the practice, that they share that same passion and vision for chiropractic care and helping people. I think that's that next step of looking. And I've talked a little bit about just numbers-wise where we need to get to that point. But I think big picture, I think that's the idea behind that, of being able to, what it would mean to be, we have a waiting list practice, and it's because we are helping as many people as we possibly can, and we're doing a good job of changing lives that way. So
I love that, because you come in and you're like, let's meet our obligations, and now in this point of your career, you're like, let's meet fulfillment, right? Let me know that every day I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing, God wants me doing, and doing it in a volume or in a way that's really significant. Not burnout, not out of balance.
Right. But significant.
Yeah, you're productive when you're there. So
Agreed.
I really appreciate you sharing that. This was eye-opening for me, a good interview.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Good. Appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us on Innate. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. For more resources, mentorship opportunities, and to connect with our community, visit amcfamily.com. Until next time, stay aligned.